Okay, so how do you totally transform a region's future without a single extra penny in the budget? I know, it sounds pretty much impossible, right? But that is exactly what happened in Quetta, Pakistan. It's this incredible story of innovation and just, well, pure resourcefulness. And in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how they pulled it off. 20 billion rupees. Let that number just sink in for a second. That's the amount of money that was both saved and generated in this massive turnaround. Now, to put that into perspective for you, that's over 70 million US dollars. I mean, that is a staggering figure for any project, let alone one that got zero new government funding. Listen to this quote. It says it all. Not through extra funds, but by using what we already had a bit differently. I mean, that right there, that gets to the absolute heart of the strategy. It wasn't about throwing more money at the problem. Nope. It was about a total shift in thinking. So the big question is, how did they do it? How did they unlock 20 billion rupees using just what they had? And that is the 20 billion rupee question, isn't it? How was this budget-neutral revival even possible? Well, to get the answer, we first need to understand the place where it all went down. All right, so our story takes place in the Quetta Division. Think of it as the economic engine of Balochistan. It's this super important trade corridor, connecting Pakistan with Central Asia, and it's home to over 4 million people. But like a lot of fast-growing cities, it was facing some huge challenges. We're talking everything from waste management to unemployment. So what was the secret sauce? The key to this whole thing was a strategy called a public-private partnership, or PPP. Now, put simply, this is just where the government teams up with private companies. The private guys bring the cash and the know-how, and the government provides the official framework. And the result? A huge reduction in what it costs the taxpayers. It's kind of like a win-win. Okay, so that's the theory. But how did this PPP model actually work in the real world? Well, let's start with one of the biggest, most visible problems any city has. I'm talking about trash, keeping the city clean. And look, the garbage problem here it was on another level. We're talking over 2 million tons of trash just sitting in open spaces. It was a massive health and environmental crisis. So the Safa Quetta, or Clean Quetta project, tackled this thing head on. And get this, now an incredible 2,000 tons of waste are collected every single day. And this wasn't just about hiring more people to pick up trash. No, this was a modern, super structured system from the ground up. We're talking door-to-door collection, streamlined transport, even advanced recycling and composting. And they used smart tech-based monitoring to make sure the whole thing ran like clockwork. And right here, this is where you really see the power of that PPP model. Check this out. The government only had to foot the bill for 30% of the cost. The private partner, they covered the other 70%. How? They generated revenue from all that recycling and composting. So what you have is a massive citywide cleanup for a fraction of the cost to taxpayers. Pretty smart, huh? But this whole vision was so much bigger than just cleaning up the streets. I mean, these initiatives were broad. They touched on literally every part of public life, from tech and infrastructure to education and healthcare. This was the whole shebang, a complete plan for the region's future. All right, let's switch gears and talk about the future. How do you build a thriving digital economy, a tech scene in a place that's been struggling? Well, it turns out the answer was literally hiding in plain sight. Instead of spending a ton of money on a brand new construction project, they did something brilliant. They took an old, abandoned building, the kind of place that's usually a symbol of decay, and they turned it into the very first technology park in the entire province of Balochistan. And the financial payoff? It was immediate. Just by repurposing that one building instead of building a new one, they saved a whopping 1.6 billion rupees. And that's money that, of course, could be poured right back into the community. But the impact was so much bigger than just the money saved. This one project created 500 new high-tech jobs that gave local talent, the region's brightest minds, a reason to stay and build their careers right there at home. And this wasn't just about jobs for right now. It was about building a whole ecosystem for the future. 20, count them, 20 new startups launched out of this tech park. That's planting the seeds for a whole new digital economy that's just going to keep growing for years and years. But look, a great economy doesn't mean much if your people aren't healthy and educated, right? And that's why this whole transformation was also about a really deep, direct investment in people. And it started with the basics, education and healthcare. And the impact here, it was huge. Seriously, just try to imagine this. 300 schools that were closed, just sitting empty and silent, were reopened. They were filled with kids learning again. Every single hospital in the region was made fully functional, so everyone could get the care they needed. Oh, and they handed out 30,000 scholarships. 30,000! That's opening up a future for a whole new generation. You see, this is about so much more than just numbers on a screen. This is about breaking cycles of poverty. It's about giving the next generation the actual tools they need to build a better life for themselves, for their families, and for their whole community. So when you step back and look at it, Quetta's story is way more than just a local success. It's really a powerful blueprint for progress that other places around the world could learn from. So what are the big takeaways from this incredible journey? So here's a look at where that 20 billion rupee impact actually came from. We've talked about the Safa Quetta project and the IT parks, right? Well, a huge chunk also came from recovering public land that was being illegally occupied. Another big piece was the Chaman Master Plan, which was all about modernizing a key border city. And finally, they cracked down on smuggling, which was just sucking money out of the local economy. So you can see it was a real multi-front effort. I want to share one last quote with you because it really gets to the soul of this whole thing. This journey was never about titles or statistics. It was about believing that even within existing limitations, something better is always possible. I mean, wow. That's such a powerful reminder that progress isn't always about having more money. Sometimes it's about imagination and just having the will to make things better. So that leaves us with a big question. Could this model of innovation be a real blueprint for the future? Quetta's story seems to suggest that, yeah, with smart partnerships, some creative thinking, and a genuine investment in people, maybe it is possible to achieve what looks impossible. And that's a lesson I think we can all get inspired by.